Good morning. Yeah, yeah.
5 minutes, sir.
Sure,
5 minutes.
sure. Okay, sir.
Good morning to one and all here. Dear participant, please do not turn on your mic and as well as your camera.
Mihir, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
10-5 शुरू करो. 10-5. Sharp.
Okay, sir.
10-5 शुरू करो.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
11-5.
11-5. Sorry.
Yes,
11-5.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sagar, please close your mic and camera. All the participants, please close your mic and also videos. It will interrupt the continuous process of network. So please don't open your camera or mic.
If I have the permission of the dignitaries, may
Go
I
ahead,
start
go
the
ahead.
program?
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Krishnadevara sir, ready?
A very warm good morning to one and all present here. Myself, Mihir Karnik from BA LLB third year, welcome you all on behalf of Marathwada Legal and General Education Society's Manikchand Pahade Law College, Aurangabad. We have gathered here today for the auspicious occasion of induction program of our institute. Every institute has its own story, has its own origin story. It is what makes great institutions great. So, to highlight the uniqueness of our institution, I request respected principal, Dr. C.M. Rao sir, to kindly give an introduction of our institute. Over to you, sir.
So good morning to one and all. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce this great institution which was established in 1956, affiliated to Osmania University. In those times, the people from this region has to go to Nagpur, Hyderabad, Mumbai for the LLB degree courses. It's a costly affair for the people who are residing in this backward region of Marathwada. In those times, the people of this particular, the servants of advocates and lawyers thought it is need to establish a legal institution in this particular area. With this motto and aim, they started Marathwada Legal and General Education Society in 1955 on September 23rd, and the college was started on August 1st, 1956. And in this particular batch, there are 66th batch of 3 years course and 5 years course started in 1984, and this is the 38th batch of 5 years course. The ordinary people at those times thought with a sankalp, with the aim to do certain things for the betterment of the society. With that aim, they started a law college. At the time they started, they never think that it will go all over India with a name and fame, which was shown by those particular forefathers of this particular society. This is because of the untiring efforts of the forefathers who sowed the seeds of MLG society to start a law college, and the same is carried out by the continuous efforts of the management, staff and students from 1956 to till today. It is because of the efforts of the management, staff and students, it got laurels from all over India because of their commitment towards the excellence. Even though we are not excellent, we will get perfection in the process of our ascent towards the excellence. On behalf of this particular institution, I welcome Professor Krishna Devarao, Vice Chancellor of National Law Institute in University, Delhi, who is a good friend of mine, who I know from 1992. So he promised to come to MP Law College twice. Because of some reason or other, he could not make it. And third attempt, he make it possible because of his friendliness towards us. And he accepted our invitation to address this batch of students as a guest, chief guest of this particular auspicious occasion of the induction program. On behalf of the management, staff and students, I welcome Professor Krishna Devarao for giving inaugural address of this particular batch orientation program or induction program of this 66 batch and 38th batch of 5 years course. I would like to bring to the notice of all the students, there are judge from Supreme Court, Sudhakar Rao Urdurkar is the Supreme Court judge who is from this college in 61, 62. There are judges who are retired and working as judges even today, as judges of the High Court of Bombay, bench at Aurangabad. Justice Gangapurwala, Justice V.K. Jadhav, Justice Ravindra Bhuke are the product of this particular college. Apart from that, in academicians, the present registrar of Nalsar, Hyderabad, Professor Balkrishna Reddy is also a student of this particular college. It is not that only the academicians and lawyer, advocates, and also the judges. There are several people from all walks of life who are connected, who are the alumni of this college. And especially, this is known for its quality education and transparency. These are the days where education is going to be business. But this institution is only doing service to the society. Service to the society by spending their own money. They have constructed a separate building with 8 digital classrooms and 1 moot court hall, which an expenditure of around 2 crore rupees with their own funds. With their own funds. Right from 1956 to till today, they not only earned the money, but also name and fame because of the commitment of management, staff and students. It is also brought to the August gathering today. There are several people who visited this college Advocate Ram Jethmalani, Justice Krishna Iyer, N.R. Madhav Menon, Advocate P.P. Rao, like that several distinguished luminaries, the Law Commission Chairman, Justice Venkatrama Reddy, Justice Balakrishnan, former Chief Justice of Supreme Court, who are few among the legal luminaries who visited this institution and blessed this institution with their kind heart towards this institution. Apart from that, there are several academicians who visited through online, physically, who graced this particular college and blessed this institution with their kind blessings. And I hope this is the brief beginning of this particular college. And especially I would like to bring it to the kind knowledge of the students who joined first. Time management is the first lesson you have to learn. Time management, 11 o'clock means 11 o'clock. But even today, I asked the students to join 10 minutes before. There are some students even now joining. The time limit you have to follow as an advocate. If you don't follow the time, this is the first lesson you have to learn as a student of law. If you are not following this first lesson, you are nowhere in the profession. Thank you very much for giving me a brief idea regarding this particular college. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir. Now to have an introduction of the induction program, I request IQAC coordinator Dr. Aparna Kotapalle ma'am to kindly take the charge. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mihir. Respected Professor Krishnadev Rao, sir. Advocate J.K. Vasadi, sir, President MLNG Society and President of today's event. Respected Principal Dr. C.M. Rao, sir. Professor S.N. More, sir, Vice Principal. All faculty members and my dear students. Let me first of all welcome you all to join this, who have joined this event. We had a long-standing dream to listen to Krishnadev Rao sir. And let me tell you all that today is the day on which I feel that, yes, our dream come true. Thank you, sir. My dear students, when we join any institution, as a new institution, we have got a feeling of discomfort little bit. We have got anxiety. We need to know what kind of culture the institution has, what kind of activities are being conducted, who is who are the faculties who would be dealing with, in which subject they will be dealing with, if we have any problem, to whom we can contact. So many questions, so many curiosities you people have in your mind. And that is basically the object of this induction program. You all have entered into the education stream, which will take you to a noble profession of advocacy. And hence, since beginning, you need to have a very holistic approach when you are learning the law, when you are learning the society and social approaches. And hence, we have categorically divided this induction program in 2 days. Today, we have Professor Krishnadev Rao, sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Delhi National Law University, who would be guiding us, who would be inspiring us. And maybe I consider that a kind of holistic approach would begin. It would his speech will inspire us to continue with the holistic approach. And in tomorrow's induction program, part of the induction program, we all faculty members and our respected principals sir will be with you, and we will let you know what kind of culture, rules, regulations this institution has, what activities we do conduct, where there is a scope for participation, what kind of exposure would be provided to you. Though respected principal sir has provided you with the first rule of time management, there are so many other rules to be learned, and you people would be knowing all those details in tomorrow's part session of the induction program. So eagerly we all are waiting for listening to Honorable Vice Chancellor Krishnadev Rao sir. I feel that this much of introduction to the induction program is quite sufficient enough. I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to provide you some insights about the objectives behind this induction program. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you so much, ma'am. As stated by our respected faculty members earlier, we are extremely lucky to have Honorable Professor Dr. Shri Krishna Deva Rao sir as our chief guest today. And although sir does not need any sort of introduction, I would like to take this chance and say a few words about sir. Professor Dr. Shri Krishna Deva Rao sir is currently the Vice Chancellor of National Law University, Delhi, an eminent teacher and a scholar in criminal law and access to justice. Sir has completed his BSc LLB, LLM in criminal law, MPhil in law, and PhD in law. Sir is an institutional builder and has made significant contributions to growth and expansion of multiple prestigious institutions in India. NLU Odisha, NLU Delhi, and GNLU, just to name a few. Sir has been instrumental in institutionalizing legal aid and legal empowerment in India. Sir's ideas were also borrowed by the Honorable Supreme Court of India in the landmark case of D.K. Basu versus the State of Bengal from his article titled Let Us Speak for the Dead and Protect the Living. Sir is also an international scholar and has made his mark on the global level as one of the best legal scholars in India. Sir is currently the chairperson of Committee for Reforms in Criminal Law constituted by the Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. We are also very lucky to have respected Advocate Sri J.K. Vasadikar, sir, President of the ML&GE Society with us today. I request respected Advocate Vasadikar, sir, to kindly give a presidential address. Over to you, sir.
Good. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The distinguished chief guest of this induction program, Honorable Sri Krishna Dev Rao sir, our young and dynamic principal CM Rao sir, faculty members, and my dear student friends. A very good morning to everybody. First of all, I would like to congratulate all the newcomers in this institution for having chosen the proper college for this education in legal fraternity. As pointed out by our principal, this is the 66th induction program for 3 years and 38th induction program for 5 years degree course. So during the span of 7 decades, our college has crossed several important milestones. And our principal has already informed that we have eminent lawyers, jurists as our alumni. And as a president of this prestigious legal education society, I am proud to share the success of this college, which is a result of continuous efforts and vision of all the faculty members over the past 7 decades. A simple word of advice to the newcomers of this college: please don't miss any single lecture. Try to complete all the projects and assignments sincerely and honestly in your own interest. Then take maximum advantage of our library, which is one of the best libraries of law colleges amongst India. And from our side, we will see that we are providing quality education. We will focus on weaker students also. And for the students from rural area, please don't be afraid of English language. Over a period of maximum 1 semester, you will overcome this fear and you will be fluent in English also. So I am sure that all of us are eagerly awaiting for listening our chief guest. I thank the coordinators for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So now, without any further ado, I request our chief guest, Professor Dr. Shri Krishna Deva Rao sir, to kindly address today's meeting. Over to you, sir.
Vasadikar Ji, President of the MP Law College Society, Professor C.M. Rao, faculty, my dear young students and friends. I'm grateful to the Manik Chand Pahade Law College for giving me this opportunity to share some views and ideas and to interact with you. I think I was unable to join in the other two occasions because of other prior commitments, but I'm happy now I will be able to do something to share with you when you are beginning the journey to study the law. And as president of the Law College has mentioned, the college has a glorious history of more than 7 decades in the legal education. I'm happy that this induction program is for 66th batch of 3-year LLB and 38th batch of 5-year integrated law program. That's a milestone in the history of legal education in India. And as a principal has mentioned, it is a prestigious college and produced many stalwarts, judges, lawyers, and legal academics. And it's the first and oldest law college in the Marathwada region. I'm happy also to note that my friend and former colleague Balkrishna Reddy also was a student of this college. Justice Kanvilkar sir always speaks about MP Law College, the senior judge in the Indian Supreme Court currently. And so congratulations to all the students and welcome you all to the world of creative and exploratory learning of the law. Here you will spend the most challenging days of your precious and prime life. Maybe 3-year people for 3 years and 5-year for 5 years. You will engage with ideas and immerse in the universe of ideas to make learning truly enjoyable. Legal education prepares all of you to think like a lawyer and speak the language of the law. Vasdekar ji just now mentioned, because lawyer means language. Of course, don't be afraid of speaking in English. Automatically you will learn, but you must learn and speak in English. Of course, you also have to know your mother tongue and other languages. Law is neither a mathematical problem nor a sportsman's game. The aim and purpose of law is in pursuit of relentless justice. That's the purpose of law. Lawyers, along with doctors, share the chance to decide the life. Of course, doctor's profession, medical profession is the main forefront of enhancing the life. And that's the similar fashion, legal profession also will decide when the issues like death penalty or even other issues which will come up before the court. So there's only 2 professions are known to the world. Other professions later came on. If you ask anyone, your grandfather, grandmother or your parents, they will ask, हमको तो दो ही प्रोफेशन मालूम है, एक डॉक्टर, एक लॉयर. That's the greatness of this profession. The greatness of this profession, you will learn. You will, by the time you get your degrees, you will realize, I know that you will become some of the best lawyers in India. Let me begin with 2 stories, narrating 2 stories about why we should study law, how legal education will improve our potential, and make us as best human beings, later the best lawyers. The first story is about Mahatma Gandhi ji and how legal education transformed Bapuji. The second is about a letter written by a young student to the Justice Felix Frankfurter. At that time, he was the Chief Justice of the American Supreme Court. This young student wrote to Justice Frankfurter that he wanted to study law. What is his advice? So let me begin with these two stories. First, the story of Gandhi ji. I know all of us, we know Mahatma Gandhi ji. The law changes those who study and practice it. I think it's true in the case of Gandhi ji. We all know Gandhi ji went to study law in England in 1888. That's the time he's a barrister. You have two in English common law. These are the two professions which are known as barristers and solicitors. Try to find out what is the distinction, who are barristers, who are solicitors, what is the difference later on. Make a note, and then you must understand and learn the common law origin of the Indian law. So Gandhiji went to study law in England in 1888, and at the age of 18 years, and spent later part of 2 decades practicing in law in South Africa. And Gandhiji returned home at the age of 45 years. And Gandhiji, who came to India, who participated in the Indian freedom struggle, completely a different man altogether. Law not only transformed Gandhiji's personality, it offered him a laboratory for creating his philosophy of non-violent civil disobedience. I would like all of you to be one of the best quality of Gandhiji is fiercely independent in his thought, in his ideas. I think that we should learn from Gandhiji. So I wanted all of you to be fiercely independent in the way Gandhiji was, and reinterpret your political and legal legacies in the Indian context. Second story about Justice Felix Frankfurter. Let's look at what advice Justice Felix Frankfurter gave to a student who is interested to study law. He says, I quote, "The best way to prepare for law is to be a well-read person." I think that's the first one. Why law is called as lawyers are called as a learned people? Judges are maybe more learned. Students should be triply learned. Learning is very important. Well-read person. I'll come to that later. So he says, the best way to prepare for law is to be a well-read person. This alone can develop the capacity to use English language on paper and in speech and with habits of clear thinking. I'm glad Advocate Vasdekar ji mentioned about English language. You should know, you should speak. Speaking, I'll come back to that. Speaking and writing, speaking, reading and writing, amazing skills. Human being, what is the difference between an animal and a human being? This is what the brain thinking. That is what makes us as a supreme human being. So therefore, that the capacity to use English language on paper means writing, and speech, speaking, and with the habits of clear thinking. You know, law, legal language is sometimes creates a confusion. So therefore, speaking, writing in a simple English, brevity of thought and brevity of expression is very important. So let me complete Justice Felix Frankfurter, otherwise we will move into other direction. So further he says, first he emphasizes on English language, Then he says, no less important for a lawyer is to cultivation of imaginative faculties. What are the imaginative faculties? Justice Felix Frankfurter says, reading poetry, seeing great paintings, listening to great music. Lawyer or a judge or anybody, legal profession, is not just about a language. Literature, fiction, poetry, great paintings. Enjoy the nature, listening to great music. Stock your mind with the deposit of much good reading. Widen and deepen your feelings by experiencing the wonderful mysteries of the universe. This is what young student who has written to Justice Felix Frankfurter, he advises. Means that's what Aparna and all of them, they have said about holistic development. Justice Felix Frankfurter also, the judge who advised B.N. Rao, the advisor of the Indian Constitution, when the Constituent Assembly has been constituted to prepare Indian Constitution, Justice Felix Frankfurter advised B.N. Rao. B.N. Rao went to United States to seek his advice. Justice Felix Frankfurter, please advise us. India is in the process of making its own constitution. Justice Felix Frankfurter, you will learn when you read the Indian Constitution, he advised them, don't keep due process clause in the Indian Constitution because that will create a problems later on. The democracy, which is a maturing and a nascent democracy, so don't keep this. So therefore, we have kept in the Article 21 the procedure established by law. That's a history. That is where Justice Felix Frankfurter said. So let me now move to the second aspect of, briefly let me explain to you history of legal education. Then I'll come and briefly mention about simple 7 mantras all of you should remember to when you are beginning your journey into the legal education. History of the legal education is, I think, 5 phases. We could hear or learn how the Indian legal education has developed. The first phase is 1950 to 65, before the Advocates Act came into picture. That the first phase is where there's a transformation from colonial heritage, and we are in the process of establishing Indian identity. By that time, we don't have the Advocates Act. Second phase is 1965 to 75. That was a move towards professional legal education. Advocates Act came into picture. And third phase is a very important 1976 to 1987. What is called as a modernization of law school curriculum and increasing relevance to social problems through law, society, and land poverty studies. This is not an impact only in India, all over the world. You could see 1976 to 1987, whether it's in the United States, whether in the UK, Australia, Canada, several of the countries, that's a complete change in the curriculum. Modernization of the legal education is that time. It has an impact of the civil rights movement and the human rights jurisprudence all over the world. Land society movement and several others had an impact on this. The establishment of the first national law school in India at Bangalore, NLSIU, 1987, is the third phase in the history of the legal education. And National Law School Bangalore is a real trend setter for legal education in India. Justice Ramjet Malani, we are ready. Several people were instrumental. They were looking at in the independence movement. We know many of these. Those who are participated in the leaders of the freedom movement are majority of them the lawyers and of the law. And they have later on become some of the best lawyers. And if you look at the Constitutional Assembly debates, each and every discussion about which class should be there, how the Indian Constitution has to be prepared, I think amazing discussions they were able to make. But 1980s onwards, there is a they thought law should become a choicest profession. So there's an increasing importance is given looking at how do we make Indian legal education, modernize the legal education, and make some is the best, like a Harvard, Oxford, what we call in the days, the lawyers, those who want to study, they are called as a Oxbridge lawyers, because we know, because we have inherited the common law tradition. India is more close to the common law in the United Kingdom. So we only know two universities, Oxford or Cambridge. So majority of these people in India, even one of the earliest legal academics, either went to Oxford or Cambridge. Later on came Harvard, Yale, Stanford, you can name any of these universities in the United States. So therefore, that was a Ramjet Malani. We are ready. That time, Bar Council of India, chairman and secretary, and many people were thinking, how do we really develop an intensive professional legal education? And that was the time Professor N.R. Madhavamenon, Professor Upendra Baxi. That was the time Professor Baxi, Upendra Baxi, another renowned legal academic. You will hear, you will read about him, who first time they said there is the legal education has to be socially relevant legal education. He coined the term, he conceptualized it. He also conceptualized the social action litigation in India, which the American language we call as a public interest litigation. So Professor Upendra Baxi, Professor Madhav Menon started this idea of the National Law School, Bangalore. And Professor Madhav Menon, because at that time he was in the Bar Council of India Trust, I think he took more interest, keen interest, and with the establishment of the National Law School, Bangalore, it's a real trendsetter. That was an experiment in the legal education. That was the first 5-year LLB program came in 1987. And then the fourth phase is impact of the National Law School on the legal education in other places. Particularly, that was the Chief Justice's Conference in 1993, Law Ministers Conference in 1995. In the fourth phase, they said there is a need to replicate National Law School Bangalore model all over India. And that's where we have 1998, Bhopal, Hyderabad, and other law schools started coming up, Calcutta, Jodhpur, several others. Now we have, I know Professor C.M. Rao, I have to correct me, maybe 30 national law schools, 2 more in the offing. Uttar Pradesh is coming out with Prayagraj, a new law school, and maybe we may have more law schools coming up, national law schools, almost all in each state. And the fifth ongoing phase in the history of legal education is reflecting quality legal education, critical introspection into the goals and missions of the law schools and legal education, and also 2020, the NEP, national education policy, digitalization in a big way. This government in the budget has announced about digital universities and several others. The information communication technology is going to have a lot of impact in the legal education. So this I just shared about the history of the legal education. Friends, let me come to the what I said about my simple advice in the form of 7 mantras, which will help you how to make the best of your experience as a law student. Friends, legal education, unlike the old method, it is now interdisciplinary, international, and interprofessional. Interdisciplinary, not only in the 5-year LLB, whether you are a BA LLB, BBA LLB, BCom LLB or other, you will also study. Law has to be studied in conjunction with other disciplines, sociology, economics, political science, English literature, several others is important. So we need to look at how law in books and law in action. So interdisciplinarity has to be there. And when you study law, don't confine only to the Indian law. International comparative law is also important. Another one is interprofessional. American Association of Law Schools have visualized 5 years ago, they said, next 20 years, legal education is what? Combination of law, technology, finance, accountancy. I think that's going to have a great impact. Already we have seen with the COVID-19 how the technology has become. Today you see through the Cisco WebEx, we all are interacting. Earlier classroom concept was a conventional 60 students, maybe 80 students. And of course, there is no substitute for a teacher, conventional teacher and taught method, but it's going to be a hybrid method. Maybe more and more online education may be coming up. So interprofessional is also coming. Law, engineering, science, several combine, the professions will merge. Cost accountancy, company secretary, several other professions. So please keep in mind that this is the international, interdisciplinary, international, and the interprofessional are very important. And what we have seen, as I said, how law connects with sociology, political science, economics, history, interprofessional, because medicine, engineering, science and technology and finance. And finally, now we live in a global era marked by global markets, global connections, global governance, and global rights. What happens? The problem, international hostility between Russia and Ukraine, is a world problem. You have seen. And another one, before I move to 7 mantras, please read the newspaper. You must read one English newspaper every day and one your local newspaper. Marathi language also is important, because when you practice, you need to learn your native language. Please purchase, keep, prepare a files. Okay, if it's a good article, cut, keep in a file. And newspaper reading is very important. So the point when we are looking at the global is, look at Russia has brought, Putin has brought all this, his army, everything, multifaceted in the border, about to attack Ukraine. We hope that this will never happen. We don't know. We have to see, but we should be optimistic. Another quality we have to develop. Be optimistic, no pessimistic. There's no, the word you remove pessimism from your dictionary. So global, even then, Putin is scared. Russia is scared. That is what the global pressure. That is what where the UN, US, United States, UK, all they are worried. They don't want another war. We can't afford to be engaged in war with anybody. So that's the importance of international globalization is very important. Now let me come to 7 simple mantras. So let me offer you 7 simple mantras of how to make the best of your experience as law student. Firstly, listen generously, read voraciously, reflect deeply. Underline these points. That's what, when you remember a class, you have a notebook. I'm unhappy if a student comes to a class without a pen and without a notebook. Absolutely, you are not worth to be a student. I'm sorry using that blunt language, but that's important. That's what Professor N.R. Madhav Menon taught us. Our mentor, Professor N.R. Madhav Menon, really, Professor C.M. Rao knows him. We have interacted with him. So first is, these are the simple thing is, listening also, not just not listening to a music. Of course, listening to music is important, but active listening. taking notes, understanding that, thinking along with the teacher. Your mind, body should be in the classroom or even in the online lecture. Listening generously is important. Reading voraciously. That's very important. Like Frankfurter, Gandhiji. Look at the language. You must read Gandhiji's books. Simple English. Look at that. Okay. So, and reflect deeply. 3 skills are important for a law student, for every student, but law student is more important, which is reading, thinking, speaking, writing. These are the 3. Of course, reflecting is also important. So, reading, thinking, writing are the essential skills of law student. This is my first advice. Second advice, Professor C.M. Rao Aparna said about the holistic learning. Means there's a textbook, there is a context. Context means why. Today, when we are discussing about the international conflict between Russia and Ukraine, the context we need to look at. When we read any law, we look at the context in which that laws came into picture. Passing of 3 farm laws or repealing of the 3 farm laws. What is the context? Context of the Indian Constitution. Pre-colonial era, the criminal laws, colonial era, independent era. What is the modern day context of relevance of some of these principles? So therefore, when you read, reading is a holistic, not only just textbook oriented reading. It should be text, context, and perspectives. That's very important. Read the article or a case or anything multiple times. That's what the voraciously, and you have to read the books. And so these are the essential text, context, perspectives. Attend the lecture, don't miss, take notes, analyze, develop your own perspective. And you have to develop your thinking. Read, that is called as a informed debates, not by somebody said in the discussion in the social media or discussion on the TV. Don't be carried away. You have to develop your own thinking based on correct reading. So you should read the law, the provision, its impact, how it is interpreted, then you make your own judgment about it. That's the second one. Third, curiosity to learn, urge to learn. You are, I think, some of the most fortunate law students. You are in one of the best law college in India and which has a glorious history. So you have a good library. You should learn. Curiosity, intellectual curiosity is important for anything. Law is also patience, and curiosity to learn is very important. The study of law requires patience and immersive attention. Only then you will be able to uncover and comprehend numerous nuances of the law in different dimensions. Let me quote eminent lawyer Nani Palkiwala. What he says, Nani Palkiwala says, the 2 marks of a truly educated person whose understanding has been enlightened is the capacity to think clearly and intellectual curiosity. In fact, legal education makes you to think very clearly. That's what when you look at any law, take Indian Constitution. Article 21 is clearly defined. Look at the Indian Penal Code. Murder, Section 299, Section 300 clearly defines. Clarity, precision is important in law. So therefore, you should develop that. That will come. Capacity to think clearly will come when you have a curiosity to learn. That's the third mantra. Fourth mantra is experiential learning. Learning is not mere bookish knowledge. Of course, you have to learn the books, read the books, understand the book, but interpret the book from everyday form of life. Tagore, Aurobindo, Jiddu Krishnamurti, these are all the educational reformers emphasized on experiential learning. It encourages you learning from life experiences, co-curricular activities, legal aid and services clinic. You will learn. Reading Indian Penal Code, Criminal Procedure Code is one. But if you go to visit the prison, you will learn how the criminal justice system works. If you visit the police station, you will see how it works. If you go to the forensic lab, you will learn how the Indian Evidence Act is interpreted. So these are all the experiential learning, and a legal services clinic will provide you an opportunity how the law works in the community. And this is an important, I know that you have a legal services clinic. There's a lot of students working with that. That is also important under the UGC, whether the NAC or NIRF ranking, you must have a robust legal services, legal aid services mechanism within the college, outside the college, in the community, and there you will learn how the law operates. In fact, our initial experience in the NLS Bangalore, where we have set up a community mediation center long ago. This is in 1990s in Ramanagaram, which is a just nearby small city near to the Bangalore. Ramanagaram Mediation Clinic. We used to call both the parties like a court. We never had any power and authority, but we used to call both the people, this plaintiff and defendant, call, sit with them, listen to them, try to mediate and develop, and that was a successful experiment. Some of the times even we have helped the Karnataka High Court in conducting the Lok Adalat, how we should do this. So therefore, fourth skill is very important, experiential learning. Fifth skill is generally in the law schools, national law schools, we follow the case book method of teaching. Of course, all law colleges also, majority of the law colleges follow. In fact, national law schools have borrowed from the Delhi University and other universities' experience. In the American method of reading the law is you read the law through cases. So that will really help, but not just only focusing on the case law plus the Bail Act, both have to be combination, but more and more of studying the case law. If you read the full text of the case, then you will realize how the court has interpreted this provision, what are the facts, what are the circumstances, and the what you call as a ratio, decidendi, obiter dicta, all this will come. The casebook method of teaching is one of the best method of teaching. You can learn, enjoy learning the law through the case method. I tell my colleagues it's like a storytelling. Case is like a story. And then through that story, you look at the law, statute, act, learn, and that really will help learning the skills of interpretation, analysis, writing of the judgment, the language, all this you can learn. This, of course, I know that you will learn from your teachers about how to read the case book. And please remember, teacher plays a crucial role in learning. Law is nothing, you know what is called the precedent. Law is nothing but what courts decide. American School of Realism, that's one of the best school in the jurisprudence legal theory, says it is not what the parliament says about the law. Ultimately, what is the law? The court decides the law. Indian Supreme Court is not supreme because it's in Delhi, capital city of India. Either Indian Supreme Court or High Courts, they have really earned a reputation not only from the public but all walks of life because of judicial power. What is that judicial power? Interpretation, analysis, and Conventional judge was mere, they used to say, I only will interpret the law, technical mere interpret the law. But post-emergency Indian Supreme Court, 1977 to 80, they have realized that the judge role is not just mere technical interpreters of the law, but in that process, we will also create the law. That is called as judicial activism came into that picture, and we have seen, of course, there's a boundary line between what the court should make the law and what the parliament should make the law. If the parliament is not able to make it a law, judiciary has to step in and direct the parliament to create the law. So that's the experiential learning we have discussed. Fifth is about casebook method of teaching. And students should study the cases. I also advise, I tell all my students in these 5 national law schools where I have worked, read the original text of the law. And also I advise all of you, please purchase a textbook, whatever your teacher suggests. You should develop your own library. What is a lawyer? Lawyers should have their own library. Please ask your teachers tomorrow or day after tomorrow, you must have your own book. And you must read whatever the method. Online, if you want to read, or a book. My teacher always used to say, if you have not marked on a book or an article, means you have not read. So purchase, first thing is, when you are beginning your 3-year LLB, 5-year LLB, Monday onwards, you ask your teacher, purchase copy. Don't spend money on waste things, but you must spend on books, reading, novels, literature, and other. So therefore, students study cases, analyze what judges said, why they resolved this in particular point of law. As you read the original case, you will realize that is what the fascinating learning in the law. I'll give an example. I always, in the law of arts class, I really enjoy discussing Kasturi Lal case. I think in the TAT you will read 1965 Indian Supreme Court. I think that was decided by Chief Justice at that time in 1965. This is a very simple story. Simple story of Kasturi Lal is a gold merchant. He comes to Meerut, which is close to Delhi. He wanted to sell his jewelry and he arrives by train. This is just after India gained independence. This, I think, facts are very important. You must know the facts. That's the first thing. 1948, he comes to the Meerut city. In the night he reaches, he was having gold jewelry and money and silver ornaments and other, and he was in search of a hotel in Meerut. Remember 1948 Meerut, not 2022 Delhi and Meerut. So then he was trying to look for a hotel, and police van was going in the night, and then they were suspicious about Kasturi Lal. Kasturi Lal was taken, he was kept in the police station, and once he was detained in the police station, what the police will see, पूछताछ करते हैं, उसके पास जो भी है वो लेते हैं, पैसे ले लिया, उसका ज्वेलरी, gold, silver, money, and then they have recorded. I think honest police officers, okay, they have recorded, kept in the police malkana, but he was released. Next day, they verified he is not a suspicious person, he's a real bullion merchant. And then they have returned his silver, money, but they have not returned the gold. That time, gold was a huge. Then you remember that the case is very important. Then he asked, after the release, he asked the police, please return. You have returned everything, but my gold abhi tak mujhe wapas nahi diya hai. Then they said that the one of the head constable who was in charge of that police malkana at that time, वो गोल्ड लेके पाकिस्तान को भाग गया था 1948. He left, he escaped to Pakistan. Police tried to find out, but they were helpless. They could not trace and locate him. And the court says sovereign immunity, principle of sovereign immunity king can do no wrong is a old case law in tort law. And even in England, they have changed, but they said this criminal law, arrest, detention, or something called as a sovereign function. So the police, in the exercise of the sovereign function, if they have done this, they are immune. No case can file against them. Ultimately, it came up to the Supreme Court, 1965. Unfortunately, the Chief Justice of India, who wrote the judgment, I think he said, I know this is a bad thing in law. I'm really worried, but my hands are tied. I can't do anything. There is a principle in sovereign immunity. There is a provision, Article 300, Clause 1. So therefore, this he recommended that Law Commission of India should come out with the law. Till that time, I can't do. State is immune. You cannot ask the police to return whatever the gold which is seized by the police. So look at that. The whole, that is what is the case law method. Then several attempts were made to bring state liability in tort. So as a law student, you should have a curious to learn what are the principles. That's the best part of, I will not go into much details, but you must read the original text of the case and make your own notes and ideas. Lastly, two more, I think already it's approaching 12. The sixth advice is cultivate virtues of a good human being and develop professional conduct and ethics. We don't want you to be only a good lawyer. You should be a good human being. Best lawyers, best human beings. Honesty, sincerity, simplicity, humility, generosity, absence of vanity, working on your own. So these are all these really will develop. What are the virtues of a good human being? These are the things. I think all of you must develop this. Okay. You should participate in moods. You should participate in debates, music, dance, literature, poetry, public service, legal services clinic. Lastly, Professor C.M. Rao has said, discipline and hard work. Time means time. Class means class. We have learned. National Law School, Bangalore, where I spent my initial informative years, initial development of the National Law School, 90 to 98. Morning 9 class means we all used to be there in our university by 8:30 or 8:45. 8:55, I used to be ready with my attendance register near the classroom. 9 means 9, closed. This you have to now cultivate this habit. Punctuality is very important. So therefore, first, time management, discipline and hard work. Professor N.R. Madhav always used to say, there is no substitute for hard work. So there is no ready-made formula for success. Hard work is very important. This, if all try to develop some of these, then you will realize what are the best part of the legal learning. Learning helps you, all of you, grow as a lifelong adults. What matters is your sincere urge and desire to learn. And wish you all every success in this exciting journey of learning the law. I thank Professor C.M. Rao for giving me this opportunity to virtually interact with you. Of course, I will definitely will come and personally, physically, I would like to interact because last 2 times I was unable to personally visit your law college. Thank you. I think this is my opportunity to interact with you. Thank you. Thanks one and all the best in your life.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. I honestly cannot find the words to describe how good that speech was. I think it would be truthful to say that sir really has the gift of the gab. We are now coming to the ending part of our today's meeting. So I would like to request Dr. S.G. Sirsat sir to kindly propose a vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mihir. After crucial pandemic era, the student faced lot of difficulties and later they got success in choosing a good law college, which is situated in Aurangabad city, known as Manikchand Pahade Law College. I am Professor Dr. Shirsat Shashikant welcomes you to the last part of this induction program, which organized by our IQAC cell, MP Law College. Today's day is very important for every student and participants who is entering in the family of MP Law College. And therefore, I am thankful to all the participants who joined this August gathering. Really, it is a very wonderful opportunity for us. Honorable Professor Sri Krishna Devaraj, he is a master of masters. And really, sir, you have spared time for us and given the 7 mantras, which is very, very important because it is necessary. Law is controls our all activities from birth to the grave. And as a legal practitioners, these 7 skills are very, very important. And therefore, on behalf of MP Law College and MLNG Society, I am thankful to Honorable Vice Chancellor Sri Krishna Devaraj sir for giving us a very wonderful mantra. Thank you, sir. At the same time, I am thankful to Advocate J.K. Vasadikar sir, who is our mentor and the president of MLNG Society, and also for his presidential address. Dr. C.M. Rao sir is a very important person in this institute who brought this glory to this institute. And therefore, I am thankful to the Dr. C.M. Rao sir for giving the introduction of this college, as well as bringing a very good personality in our MP Law College family, and so share the blessings for us. So I'm thankful to Dr. C.M. Rao sir. I'm also thankful to our IQAC coordinator, Dr. Aparna Kotapalle madam, and the vice principal, Sri S.N. More sir. I'm also thankful Mr. Mihir, who has actively anchored this program and introduced the special guest. At the same time, I'm also thankful to Mr. Shubham Jaiswal, who has handled the technical support. And last not but the least, all the participants who have joined this institute and for whom this program is we conducted, for their active participation. I'm thankful for them. At the same time, I'm thankful to my all teaching faculties as well as non-teaching faculties who have contributed for success of this induction program. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mihir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Now, with the permissions of the present dignitaries, I would like to conclude our today's session. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye.
Bye. Okay.
Bye, sir.
Mihir. Mihir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
कल सुबह के 11 बजे बोलो इंटरेक्शन.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I would like to remind the attendees that tomorrow we will be having the second part of our orientation or induction program. I request all the attendees to kindly join us tomorrow as well at 11 o'clock.
Thank you one and all present here.